PUC and join in every home crusade. At that time, with my own money, I started a small magazine called Stream of Life, monthly magazine. I wrote in that an essay by name What Next? The title of the essay was What Next? People who read that said it's very good. Everyone was saying Shabazz. Since I was very young, I became very proud. And since everyone was appreciating, one day I thought I should read my article myself again. So I sat down and read my own article. I raised up many issues in that essay, but while I was reading, I realized that I myself did not have answers to the questions that I raised. Then I felt very sad, like an hypocrite. I wrote that, and people are appreciating because they are thinking that I know the answers for all these questions. I was praying to the Lord, Lord, please reveal answers to these questions. Many months passed by. One day, as I was going through my Bible, I came to a place where it appeared that I was getting the answers for my questions. Immediately, I sat down and read that book in English and Telugu. And every time I read, I get new insights in that book. I think most of you have my set of books. In that, there is one book on Ecclesiastes. And today I'm going to share some of the things I wrote in that book, Ecclesiastes. 1975, I wrote that book. That's the first book that I prepared. The book that I read that night was Ecclesiastes. Whenever we read a book, first we should know about the author. Then only we can understand the point of view. We need to read about the author Solomon in 1 Kings chapter 3. He became the king of Israel at a very young age. And before starting his reign, he went to Gibeon. Yesterday we have seen that. And there he offered 1,000 burnt offerings. That night the Lord appeared to him and asked, Solomon, what do you want? Suppose God appears to you today and asks you, what do you want? What you will ask him? David has asked something maybe much greater than what Solomon asked. What did David ask? Psalm 27:4. He says, I want to experience your presence. And Solomon asked, Lord, give me a heart of discernment, a discerning heart. There are three levels of knowledge. The basic level is called knowledge. Knowledge means information. When you go to school or college, they give us a lot of information. When I was in school, maybe I think ninth class, our maths teacher taught us a plus b whole square is equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab. Then I stood up and asked my teacher, what is the use of this formula to me? In what way it helps me? Then he told me, it won't help you now. After that, after your schooling, when you go to college, and after your degree, you go to MSc, and there you take up applied physics. They will teach you how to put these formulas into use. If you are designing a rocket, you need to design the course of its travel and all that. To decide all that, you need this formula. Till that time, it's useless. Knowledge is good, but it's useless. Most of our knowledge is like that. Unless we apply that in our life, information is of no good. The second level of knowledge is called wisdom. Wisdom is application of knowledge. When you split an atom, lot of energy comes. You can apply that knowledge and produce lot of electricity. Or we can even manufacture an atomic weapon. That application of knowledge is called wisdom. It can be for good or it can be for bad also. But to use the knowledge for good, for the welfare of mankind, is called discernment. Solomon did not ask for wisdom. Many people say that, but it's not there in the Bible. First Kings 3, third chapter. He asked for discernment. But God said, I'll give you so much discernment, so much wisdom and knowledge that nobody in the world so far had that much of knowledge, nor anybody in future will have that much of knowledge, except Jesus Christ, of course, because Jesus Christ is himself is knowledge. So with this God-given knowledge, he undertook a project. All of you know what research is. After your post-graduation, you take up a subject, do research on that, and write a thesis, submit to the university. When they approve it, they give you the degree PhD. So Solomon also has taken up a subject and started doing research on that. And then wrote a thesis. That thesis is Ecclesiastes. And what is the topic that he has chosen? The topic is, what is the most important thing under the sun? What should a man do on the earth? He's not trying to find out what are the important things. No. He's searching for the most important thing which will change his life, which will give meaning to his life. When I was in college, my professor used to say, good is the enemy of the best. If you do a lot of good things and you're satisfied with that, you miss the most important thing. So Solomon wanted to find out what is the most important thing which will give meaning to his life. He has taken up many subjects to find out the answer. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verses 2 to 11. He has taken up science, the discipline of science, to find out the answer. There are 3 experiments mentioned in this small passage. I'll tell you just one as a sample. 7th verse. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. If you take a vessel and go on pouring water in that, what will happen? The vessel will be filled up and the water will overflow. But you have seen rivers, waters from rivers falling into the sea, but sea is not getting filled up. What's happening to the water that's falling into the sea? If you tell him God has made it like that, he won't accept. As a scientist, he has to find the answer for that. When I was in school, we had a nice science master, very good science master. I call him very good science master because to do this experiment, he brought a stove from his house, lit the stove, put a vessel on that, poured water in that, started boiling the water. And then water becomes vapor. And when the vapor was going up, he has brought a lid and kept over the vapor. And again, the vapor becomes water and falls down. He showed us this experiment and informed us every day, due to the heat of the sun rays, water from the lakes and seas is getting evaporated, going up and become forming into clouds. Because of the trade winds, They are pushed onto the earth. When there is, uh, when it comes to the earth, over the earth, when there is a depression, it rains. And that rainwater goes into the river, and the river water goes into the sea. Again, it is evaporated, again becomes clouds, and then falls onto the earth again. He has found out a big circle, water circle in nature. Solomon did the same experiment. If I were in the place of Solomon, I would have taken at least one chapter to describe all this experiment. But Solomon is so great. He explained everything in one verse. Earlier we read only half, let us read it fully now. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. There are two more experiments here. He has found out how the winds blow in different seasons, and by that he has made ships. He gave the idea to an investor by name Hiram, and he made a lot of ships. And yesterday we have seen that they traveled even up to India. And after doing all this research, did he get the answer for his question? Does science give meaning to life? Science is very important. About 150 years back, maybe slightly less than that, a Baptist missionary from Ongole to Secunderabad, it took 26 days to travel for him, just to come from Ongole to Secunderabad. He came on bullock cart. But now, if you board a train there, morning you are here. If you catch a flight, within half an hour you are here. All this is because of science. In the olden days, there were no fans. We used to take the hand fan and blow air like that. When it is dark, we used to sleep. But now this just switch on, you get the light. Science is good. But Solomon is not asking that question, whether it's good or bad. He's asking, does it give meaning to my life? Does science give meaning to my life? Does it change my life? After finding all these great truths in science, was there any change in the universe? Was there any change in his own life? Ninth verse gives the answer. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done, and that is that which shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun. And science is so vast. People have been doing research on different subjects. They're finding the answers, writing in the books, but after some time they are forgetting. That's what it says. They are only rediscovering. Just for example, if you go to Egypt, there is a pyramid in which the whole of solar system is drawn. Sun is there, different planets are there, and Earth also is depicted as one of the planets. And this pyramid was constructed 5,000 years back, 3000 BC. That means 5,000 years back itself, people knew that the earth was round and it's going around the sun. We read in the Bible, 4,000 years back, there was a man of God by name Job, 26th chapter, 7th verse we read. He hangs the earth upon nothing. He knew that it was a planet hanging in the space. 2,700 years back, Prophet Isaiah writes the circle of the earth in the 40th chapter. 2,300 years back, Plato wrote in the book of Dialogues that the earth is round, it goes around the sun. 1,500 years back, an Indian scientist by name Bhaskaracharya wrote that earth is round, goes around the sun. They found out this secret long time back, many hundreds years back. But we don't know what happened to this knowledge. By the time we come to the Middle Ages, everyone in every school they were teaching the earth is flat and sun is going around the earth. Then Copernicus came and said, no, it's, the sun is not going around the earth, the earth is going around the sun. Galileo popularized it. And we now say that because of Copernicus and Galileo, we come to know that the earth is round and going around the sun. But is it a fact? Even hundreds of years before that, people knew. There were scientists even then. They have written them in the books, but people have forgotten. That's what it says. Is there anything new? 10th verse I'm reading. Whereof it may be said, see, this is new. It had been already of old time. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come. So science is good. This is the conclusion. Science is good, but it doesn't give meaning to life. It doesn't change the universe. So now to find the answer, he turned to philosophy. Chapter 1, verses 13, 12 to 18. We read his research in philosophy. In those days, philosophy was called wisdom. 13th verse. And I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom, that is philosophy, concerning all things that are done under heaven. What does philosophy say? 15th verse it says, something is crooked, something is wanting. But philosophy, does it say, how can the crooked things be made straight? The problem with philosophers is, if you ask them one question, they will not give you one answer. They will give half a dozen answers, sometimes contradictory answers. This is the problem with philosophers. Some years back, there was a survey done by UNESCO. Every year they take up one subject. Last year they've taken the subject of which country is most happy on this globe. Like that, every year they take one subject. And one year they said, who are the main cause for all the problems that we are facing? After doing the survey all over the globe, they came to the conclusion philosophers were responsible for all the problems because they fabricate so many isms, communism, socialism, that ism, fascism. They brainwash people, and we begin to fight over such philosophies, isms. As a result of philosophy, problems are increasing, but not decreasing. But does it help at least the philosopher? You might have seen the pictures of many philosophers like Socrates, Plato, or in Andhra Pradesh, Jiddu Krishnamurti. Did you ever see a philosopher with a smiling face? If you get any picture like that, please give it to me. So far, I have not found. Solomon tried philosophy and see what he says, 18th verse. For in much wisdom is much grief. And he that increases knowledge increases sorrow. Philosophers always think about the problems of mankind and they are immersed in that. So philosophy doesn't help others, not the philosopher himself. So what to do now? Yes, Solomon thought, maybe living a life of joy, laughter, maybe that is good. That's the most important thing in the sun. Second chapter, second verse. I said of laughter, it's mad. He wanted to live a good life. First verse, I said in my heart, go to now, I'll prove thee with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure. So he gathered some people who were cutting jokes. When they told some joke, he began to laugh. Throughout the day, he was laughing. We thought maybe this is the most important thing under the sun, to live happily, always laughing. If we go early morning to lower Tangband, there you see groups of people laughing, laughing clubs, because they say it's good for health. So Solomon also lived for some time laughing. What do you call a person who is all the time laughing? We say that he has come from Eragada. I hope nobody is there from Eragada here. And Solomon also, what he says after spending a time in laughter, second verse, second chapter, second. I said of laughter, it is mad. It's madness. So what to do? Fourth verse. I made me great works. I builded me houses. He has built many houses. Yesterday we have seen that he spent 20 long years in building so many buildings. The greatest achievement was the temple. After constructing the temple, he has imported 75,000 kilos of gold from India and plastered it, covered it with gold. Many people think that was his great achievement, but actually it was not his greatest achievement. If he has taken 7 years to construct temple, to construct his own palace, he has taken 13 long years, and to construct other palaces for his wife, uh, that is Pharaoh's daughter, it took another 7 years. For God, only 7 years. For himself, 20 years. He constructed such a big palace. It's a complex of buildings, interconnected buildings, constructed with pure marble, like Taj Mahal. But Taj Mahal is a small construction, small building compared to Solomon's palace. He built many buildings. Did that give answer to his question? His question is, what gives meaning to life? Most kings try that. If you go to Delhi, you see the Red Fort, Qutub Minar, Hyderabad, you can see Char Minar, Golconda Fort. What happened to all of them? 11th verse gives the answer. 2:11. Then I looked on all the works that my hand had wrought, and on the labor that I had labored to do, and behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit. All these great, magnificent buildings that the kings and monarchs have built, they are in ruins now. To build Golconda, the king imported stones from Italy, blue color stones. In every window, he hung one diamond, so that the light that comes in will have different shades. But all that is gone. Great works do not last long. So what to do now? Fifth verse, it tries another thing. When I was a young man, we had one king youth fellowship called King of Kings Youth Fellowship. We used to go on bicycles to remote villages. So we went to some villages beyond Trimalgiri. In those days, there were some villages there without electricity. Because now every place there is electricity. I'm talking about 40 years back. When I went to such villages, I was wondering how these people are living. They have never seen in their life what electricity bulb is. They don't know what fan is. So I wanted to do some survey. How these people are living without all these amenities. In my survey, I found out we people living in city have all the facilities. They don't have any, but they are more happy than us. Even now, if you go to the tribal areas, they lack all the amenities that we enjoy, but they live very happily. So Solomon also might have thought like that, observed that, and Went to a village. Fifth verse. He went to a village. I made me gardens and orchards, and I planted trees in them of all kinds of fruits. And to water the trees, he has constructed dams, canals, etc. And he lived ordinary peasant's life. What does a farmer do? When it rains, he sows some seed. After 4 months, he reaps the harvest. Again, he sows the seed. Again, reaps the harvest. Everything he has to do with mud, the earth, till he joins with the earth. Isn't it? Is he helpful in any way to mankind except providing food? Is he giving any meaning to mankind? Or to himself at least? It's all mechanical life, isn't it? Solomon lived such a mechanical life in a village. But since he is a scholar, when he was living there, he wrote some books. One, he wrote a great drama called Song of Solomon. He wrote a book on botany, First Kings chapter 4, verse 32. Wrote a book on zoology. He wrote 3,000 proverbs, 1,005 psalms when he was in village. But did all those things give meaning to his life? He received some satisfaction. Getting satisfaction in life is different. Getting a meaning in life is something different. So he has given up that experiment also. Then eighth verse, he has done something. I gathered me also silver and gold and peculiar treasure of kings and provinces. Collecting strange things. In Hyderabad, we had a prime minister before independence by name Salah Jung. He used to travel all over the world. Whenever he found some important thing, strange thing, he used to buy and keep in his house. Now all those things are in the museum. In what way museum will help us? Does it help? It helps. When you go to Salarjung Museum, you see a clock there. There's a blacksmith hits with the hammer every second. Every hour he comes out and rings the bell. This clock was made 400 years back in Europe when we in Telangana and Andhra never had watches or clocks. So by going to museum, we see the achievements of different people. Every country has achieved some great things in some field. We have achieved something in some areas, they have achieved something in some other areas. So when you go to a museum, we will realize that people all over the world have been doing research in different disciplines, and we develop a broad attitude, broad mind. By connecting various things, Solomon developed broad mind. But that was not the thing he was searching for. He was searching for what gives meaning to his life. Then, eighth verse, second part. I get me, this old English, so it looks strange. Get me men singers and women singers. He tried music. I don't know whether what he said is right. Does meaning give? Does music give any meaning to life? We should ask our Reverend Dr. Simon Peter because he plays the keyboard. I can play only three instruments: radio, television, and tape recorder, but not Casio, violin, like such instruments. I have a friend in Usmania University. He plays veena. One day I went to his house. His wife was complaining to me. He was not there. She was telling, this man, once he takes hold of Veena, he goes to some other world, sir. He never cares about the family. At least you please advise him, she asked. So people who specialize in this classical music, when they play music, they go to a very high level. They feel like that. But after some time, what happens? When the music is over, he falls down. Music gives some relief, some meaning, but only temporary, not permanent. If we go at this speed, how much time it will take to complete Ecclesiastes? You have to stay till midnight. So we'll go fast now. We have been in passenger train all this time. We'll now go and get into express train. Third chapter. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck off, a time to come to the church, a time to go away from church. For everything there is time. Everything happens as it is written on my forehead, my karma. Isn't it? It is not in my hands. We don't use the word karma, but because we have been living in India, we have acquired the philosophy and given us some beautiful name for that. What is the beautiful name for karma among Christians? God's will. A Hindu goes to an interview. If he is not selected, he says it's my karma. A Christian goes to an interview. If he is not selected, he says it's not God's will. That's why I'm not selected. He will never acknowledge his mistake. He will throw all the blame on God. Solomon also, for some time, believed in fatalism. Nobody who believes in fatalism prospers in life. India has been attacked by many foreigners, and every time Indians were defeated. 4th century BC, Persians attacked India. The then Indians were defeated. Then Greeks came under Alexander. The then Indians were defeated. Then Turks came, Arabs came, Mughals came, Portuguese, Dutch, French, English. Every time Indians were defeated. As a historian, K.M. Panikkar is one of the greatest historians of India. Wanted to find the answer for this. Why only Indians are defeated? We have never won a war with foreigners. Don't we have strength? Or don't we have intelligence? He has done research on this and finally came to the conclusion Indians were always defeated because they believed in karma. What karma has to do with defeat? Whenever an Indian soldier went to the battle, he would think, if it is written on my forehead that I'll win the war, I'll definitely win the war, whether I fight good or bad. If it is written on my forehead that I'll be defeated, I'll be defeated. Because of karma, rebirth are there. How can we get rid of rebirth? Only one way. If you go to a war and die there, Veera Maranam, Veera Swargam, there won't be rebirth again. So Indian soldiers used to go to war. What for? To escape rebirth. If you die there, you will straight go to heaven. Indian soldiers never went to war to win it. They went to die because that will take them right straight to heaven. Sometimes we Christians also behave like that. We are ready to die for Christ, but not to live for Christ. Which is difficult? Die for Christ is easy, or living for Christ is easy? Living for Christ is easy. So Solomon believed in karma and he was so degenerated. 18th verse says, There is no difference between man and animal. Please read, somebody read 18th verse. I said in my heart concerning the estate of the sons of man, that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts. For that which befalleth the sons of men befalleth beasts, even one thing befalleth them, as the one dieth, as the animal dies, man dies. So there is no superiority of man over the beast. There is no difference between man and animal. What we say Darwin's theory. Darwin's theory was first established by Solomon many thousands of years back. What made him to say this? He was so much immersed in research, he kept God aside. What gives value to man? All other animals have body and life, but man is created in the image and likeness of God because he has the spirit, which is similar to God, God's spirit. God is a spirit. Solomon kept spirit aside and began to evaluate man with comparing with animals, and he said there is no difference. So for some time he lived a dejected life with fatalism. Then he tried in fourth chapter another thing, sixth verse. Better is a handful with quietness than both the hands full with travail and vexation of spirit. That means he's telling, be content. Contentment is good. I say contentment is good in some respects, not in most of the cases. If you study up to 10th class and if you are content, you will never do degree. If you join in an office as a clerk and if you are content, you will never become an officer. Contentment is an enemy of progress. So Solomon tried to be content. He found out that there was no progress in his life. He gave it up. The ninth verse he says, let me try friendship. Maybe sharing my joys and problems with another person will give some meaning to my life. So ninth verse he says, two are better than one. So let me have a friend, companion. Friendship is good, but even that cannot always be sustained because each individual has a personality of his own. In the fifth chapter, he's trying one thing which most of us are doing. What is that? Fifth chapter, first verse. Keep thy foot when thou goest into the house of God, and be more ready to hear the preacher than to give the sacrifice of fools. Follow the 10 Commandments. Do this, do that. And finally, he says, this is like a dream. This is like a dream. What is a dream? Dream is an illusion, isn't it? Religion is like a dream. Religion is illusion. The first time when I read this book, I did not understand. What was the religion of Solomon? Judaism. And how that religion developed. Prophets of God received revelation from God, and on that revelation, the religion is based. If we say Judaism is a dream, is an illusion, Christianity also is an illusion. How can we say that? It took long time for me to understand. A person can go to a church, sing songs, take part in the Lord's table, give offerings. All these things he can do without Christ in his heart. Is it possible? It is possible. One can follow all the rituals of Christianity, sacraments of Christianity, without giving his heart to the Lord. That's what Solomon has done here. He followed religion, but did not take God into his heart. So that's why he says religion is an illusion. Sixth chapter, he tried another thing. Second verse. A man to whom God had given riches, wealth, honor, so that he wanted nothing. He tried to get money. No, all of us are involved in that, isn't it? We always try to get more money. Did you ever observe a rich man? I mean, very rich man, like Anil Ambani or anybody. I don't know much about the present Ambanis, but their father, two Ambanis are there, no? Their father, the senior Ambani, Dhirubhai Ambani, he was the owner of thousands of crores of property. The doctors asked him not to take any food except ganji. That also without salt, without pepper. Rich man, but you cannot take anything. Ordinary people like us, whenever we feel like we go to a sweet meat shop, buy jalebi or gulab jamun, enjoy it. But with all that money, he could not enjoy. But because he's a rich man, what he used to do for any occasion, he used to call people to five-star hotels, arrange them nice dinner, nice sweets, nice biryani. When they were eating, he used to see. He never used to eat. He could not eat because doctors told him not to eat. So Solomon also acquired money. What he says, a man to whom God hath given riches, wealth, and honor, so that he wanted nothing for his soul, and all that he desireth, yet God giveth him not power to eat thereof. He cannot enjoy his money. But who will enjoy? A stranger eateth it. This is vanity and an evil disease, says. The more money we have, the more disease we'll have, more problems we have. But still, we want to acquire more money. So Solomon left that. He acquired a lot of money. He left it. Seventh chapter is doing something which will remain even after death. A good name is better than precious ointment. For such people, the day of death than the day of birth. If you acquire good name, when you die, your name will be on headlines in newspapers. In TV, you see breaking news. They will praise you. They will recall all the great things that you have done in life. So that's why it says for such people who have acquired fame, the day of death is very important than the day of birth. But fame also, how long it lasts. All our parents, grandparents, they were great people, isn't it? They have achieved some great things. How many of them will you still remember? Maybe if I ask you, we will tell you about your father, your grandfather, maybe about great grandfather. Beyond that, you cannot say. You don't know your ancestors. When you don't care about your own ancestors, why people care about other people, others' fame? Fame is only temporary. It lasts for 3 generations or 4 generations. That too, Solomon says in 9th chapter and 14th verse, if a poor man acquires fame, it will go off immediately, it seems. If a rich man acquires fame, it will last for some time. But if a poor man acquires fame, it will vanish in just 1 generation. He gives an example. There was a poor man, enemy came, and besides it, this poor man, with his wisdom, saved the city. Everyone said shepherds. But how many people remembered him? Solomon says nobody remembered because he was poor. If a poor man acquires fame, he will lose it immediately. So our express train also cannot stop at all the stages. We'll go super fast now and come to the last chapter. Whatever the topic that he has taken, whenever he did some research, always he was getting only one answer. What is that one answer? Everything is vanity and vexation of spirit. And he became mad. When he was mad, he used to sing a small chorus. You know what chorus that was? First chapter, second verse, it is there. Vanity, vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What a melodious chorus it is, but the meaning is vanity. He became so mad, people said he cannot rule over us anymore. So some other people began to rule in his name. Where is it written? The first verse itself, Ecclesiastes, first chapter, first words. It's not so clear in English, but it's Telugu, it's very clear. If somebody has a Telugu Bible, please read it. The author of the book is not that. Jerusalemlo Raju Nai Undina. That means when he was writing this book, he was not king. He lost his kingdom. He was king. That's what it says. I'm writing this book after my retirement. Not retirement. Some people said you better stay, take rest at home, and somebody else was ruling on his behalf. At the fag end of life, he wrote this book. Because every time his answer was only one answer. It's vanity, vexation of spirit. When the days were going on like that, one day he suddenly remembered how when he went to Gibeon, God appeared to him and spoke to him. Now Solomon, instead of seeing under the sun, he began to see beyond the sun. He saw the Creator. When he saw the Creator, he got the answer. 12th chapter, 13th verse. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. The conclusion is fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of mankind. This is the only thing which is not vanity. On what basis he is saying this? Because he has to give the reason. He gives the reason in 14th verse. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Our life on this earth is only a small part of our life. Our life doesn't end with death. It continues beyond the grave. That's why in Telugu, nice word is there. Chani potunnadu. Potunnadu. Going. ఎక్కడికి పోతున్నాడు? He's going someplace. He's going, fifth verse we read, he is going to an eternal destiny. It can be eternity with the Lord Jesus Christ in heaven, or it can be eternity without God in hell. Both are eternal destinations. So man on this earth is preparing himself for eternity. But to which place you go is dependent on what priority you give to God. If you give priority to money and second place to God, Lakshmi will become goddess in your life and your life will become miserable. If you give priority to wisdom and give second place to God, Saraswati will become your goddess. Your life will become miserable. But he says, if you give priority to God and give second place to wisdom, second place to knowledge, second place to money, then your life will be different. So he thought, maybe in the beginning I made a mistake. I kept aside God and did all this research. Throughout my life, I've been doing research, and now I have become very old. In the old age, I have found the truth that the most important thing under the sun is giving priority to Him. Did he become happy when he found this truth? No, he became very sad. You may ask me, why should he become sad when he found such great truth? He became sad because he wasted all his life in doing research. Had he given priority to God and did other things, the result would have been different. Book of Ecclesiastes would have been different. Because he gave second place to God or maybe third place to God, his life became vanity and vexation of spirit. So that's why he's giving a call to young people. Young people, don't make the mistake that I have made. 11th chapter, 9th verse. Rejoice, O young man, in the youth, and let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth. If you ask young people and say, don't laugh, don't cut jokes, don't do that, don't, they run away from you, isn't it? They say, if I cannot enjoy life now, when should I enjoy? Can as an old man, can I enjoy life? No. Youth is the time for enjoyment. That's why Solomon says, you enjoy life when you are young. And let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth, and walk in the ways of thine heart. There's nothing wrong in all these things. I ask you only one thing. Keep one thing in mind. When you are enjoying something, when you are doing something, just ask one question. Will God accept this at the time of judgment? If God accepts your enjoyment in the judgment, go ahead and enjoy. There's nothing wrong in that. If you think God would not accept it, abstain from that. This is the only advice I'm giving you. But how can we know whether God accepts or rejects? One thing, God has kept a lamp in our heart. Conscience is there. Conscience itself tells us something that we are doing, whether God likes or not. But when you go to the scriptures, you get more light. You depend on this too. Depend on your conscience. Depend on the scriptures. Walk in the light of God. Then your life will be fruitful. Jesus Christ gave the summary of this book in one verse. Matthew 6, verse 33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Don't we need other things? We need other things also. But God, Jesus is giving us promise that He will provide the other things that we need. Do you want to become a great scientist? Give priority to God, pursue science, and God will make you a great scientist. And God will use you for His glory. Similarly, give God the first priority, earn money. God will use even that money for His glory, as He has done with the case of Colgate. Colgate used to give 9/10 of his income for ministry. Great man. So anything that you do, give priority to God and do other things. God will bless you. He will give meaning to his life. This is the message that Solomon is giving us, confirmed later on by Jesus Christ. May the Lord help us to follow it.
We have heard a wonderful message from the book of Ecclesiastes.